So, hello students, welcome to the lecture. In the previous lecture, we had started the static GK for ancient history. Okay, and also we had covered several topics in it. And today we are going to continue the ancient history to cover the other topics which are relevant and which are important from the examination point of view. Okay, so let's start. So first, today we having a Gupta age inscriptions. Okay, it is about the section D of our ancient history static GK. Static GK. Okay, so I want you all to just quick revise the things which we had covered yesterday before proceeding for the lecture. Okay, so yes, in the previous lecture we had inscription versus sculptures. In the previous lecture, we had discussed the inscription versus sculptures. Got it? So I want you all to just remember what do you mean by inscription and what do you mean by sculpture. Okay, I'm giving you 10 seconds to remember it. Then I will tell you the answer. Just match the answer with your guess. Okay, so time starts now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, time's up. Okay, so basically let me tell you the answer and just match the answer with your answer which you have thought in your mind. So basically if we talk about the inscriptions, then it mainly writings carved on rocks and pillars. Okay, whereas sculptures are basically 3D objects carved on rocks and pillars. Okay, so basically in the simple terms you can say if there is only writing on the pillar, on the rock surfaces, then it is a part of inscription. But if there is some kind of statue, some kind of 3D object, some kind of 3D picture carved on the rocks and pillars, then it is a sculpture. Okay, so yes, in the previous lecture we had covered about the Ashokan inscriptions part. Okay, in this lecture we are going to cover out the Gupta age inscriptions. Okay, as in the previous lecture we had discussed that after Ashoka, not Ashoka exactly, after the Mauryan Empire, there was a Shunga dynasty, thereafter the Gupta, okay, thereafter the Vardhana. Okay, so we had covered the Shunga, Mauryan and Vardhana. Today we look at the Gupta. Okay, so basically Gupta age inscriptions. Before this, just tell me the answer of 2 questions which I would ask you, which I had also told you in the previous lecture. I just want you all to remember it. Who was the founder of Gupta dynasty? Who was the founder of Gupta dynasty? Again, I'm giving you 10 seconds to remember the answer. Okay, so time starts now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, time's up. So the correct answer is Shrigupta. Shrigupta was the founder of Gupta Empire. Got it? Now, I will just change the question little bit. And the question will become, who was the real founder of Gupta dynasty? Again, I'm giving you 10 seconds to remember the answer. So your time starts now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Time's up. So the answer is Chandragupta. Chandragupta was the real founder of the Gupta dynasty. Why? Because he was the one who brought the dynasty to the highest of its heights. Got it? Do not confuse it with the Chandragupta Maurya, because Chandragupta Maurya was founder of Mauryan dynasty. Okay, so just remember the difference. Got it? Now, after we have revised the facts, now come back to the topic. So today we are going to discuss about the Gupta age inscription in this lecture. So basically the Gupta age in India was around 4th to 6th century CE, is known for its remarkable inscriptions which provide valuable historical, cultural and administrative insights into the period. These inscriptions were usually engraved on stone pillars, rock surfaces, cave walls, copper plates and temple walls. Got it? Just remember the things. Just remember these things. These are important from the examination point of view, that on which surfaces the Gupta inscriptions were embodied on. So correct answer is stone pillars, rock surfaces, cave walls, copper plates and temple walls. Got it? So let's start. So first type of the Gupta inscription was donative inscriptions. Okay, what do you mean by donative inscriptions? It means if I am having something, I am giving you the thing in exchange of money or something. In exchange of money or something is donation. Right? Then answer is wrong. Donation doesn't mean merit. Okay, it is a form of trade. It is a form of trade. Got it? So what is donation? If I am giving you something for free, then it is a donation. Donate कर दिया आपने. Then it's a donation. Got it? So basically, the first type of inscription which we have is the donative inscription. Many Gupta inscriptions record the grants of land, revenue or other resources made by Gupta rulers to temples, monasteries and individuals. These donations were often accompanied by detailed descriptions of the grant and beneficiaries. Okay, so what was basically in the donative inscriptions? Let me tell you in a short. Basically, there was a concept that state was the owner of entire land and as well as all the resources. So basically that was the concept prevalent during the Gupta period, that the state was the owner of the entire land and as well as the all the resources. When I'm talking about the state, then I'm simply meaning you royal house or king. Royal house or king. So whosoever was the ruler of that time, okay, what is the royal house had the overall control over the land and the resources. Okay, so what they started, the Gupta rulers basically started to donate the land. Okay, they started donate the land and they ensured this thing that when we are giving you a land, then there must be a record of it. Okay, and that's why they use various inscriptions to mention the details about the descriptions of grant and the beneficiaries. Got it? And the example of this was first was Paharpur copper plate inscription. The first type of example of this type is Paharpur copper plate inscription. And what was written in it? So basically it was mentioned that state was the owner of land. Okay, so the thing which I had told you that there was a concept that state was the sole owner of the land. So this thing was basically mentioned in the Paharpur copper plate inscription, in which it was clearly mentioned that state was the owner of the land. Got it? Second thing which we should understand in it is the Puna plate inscriptions. Puna plate inscriptions. Okay, so what was the Puna plate inscriptions? Basically, Puna plate inscriptions mention about Prabhavati Gupta. Okay, so Puna plate inscriptions basically mention about the Prabhavati Gupta. Now the question is, who was Prabhavati Gupta? That was the question exactly. Who was Prabhavati Gupta? So basically, she was She was the daughter of Chandragupta II. She was the daughter of Chandragupta II, who was also known as Vikram Aditya. Got it? So Prabhavati Gupta, she was a daughter of Chandragupta II or Vikramaditya, about whom Pune plate inscriptions describe. Okay, so what was exactly written in the Pune plate inscription? So basically, Pune plate inscriptions claims that Prabhavati Gupta made various land grants. Prabhavati Gupta made various land grants to different people, and that all was mentioned in the Pune plate inscriptions. Got it? So students, there is some tricky concept which you need to understand. Okay, basically when I am talking about the Gupta dynasty and the Gupta time period, then remember the one thing, that there was a concept of patriarchal society. There was a concept of patriarchal society, that property of parents would be held by the sons. Okay, so there was a concept that the property of parents would be held by the sons only. Okay, sons only. So you can say, if that person having 4 children, B for boy, G for girl, C for girl, and P for person. If this person's having 4 children, 2 are boys and 2 are girls, then the entire property is of him. Just suppose he has a property of 20 lakhs. Okay, then this entire property will be distributed amongst his son only, and the daughters will not get anything from it. Okay, so that was the concept on this time. Got it? But remember the one thing, the women were completely not departed from the property rights. Okay, it was not there that women could not take anything as a property. There was a concept of Stridhan also. There was a concept of Stridhan, which is mean by woman properties. Woman property. So what was the Stridhan exactly? Stridhan was basically the gifts and grants made to women during wedding and celebrations. Okay, so basically you can say the Stridhan were the gifts and grants made to the woman during her wedding and the celebration. So women were allowed to keep the things with them. Got it? So that was the concept. But how this thing is related with the Prabhavati Gupta? How? So that was a question, that how the Prabhavati Gupta is related with it. Okay, so simply it was how she was the owner of land. How she was the owner of land. Okay, just tell me, if you want to grant some land, if you want to donate some land, then what is very necessary thing in it? Just think about it. So let me tell you, you should be the owner. Okay, if you want to donate something, then you must be the owner of the thing. Okay, you cannot donate your neighbor's house because you are not the owner. Like you have seen someone who was begging on the road and then you said, okay, take my neighbor's house for you. You can't do it, right? So similar thing was there. How Prabhavati Gupta was able to donate the land? If there was no concept of property holding by the girls. So that was the main case. Okay, because just suppose Chandragupta II was the owner. Technically, because he was the king, and I have told you that the state was the owner of the entire land. Okay, when he was the owner, he must have sons, and he has the daughter named Prabhavati Gupta. Got it? Then, if there was a concept of patriarchal society that the property of parents would only be holding by the children's, then how Prabhavati Gupta was able to donate the lands, because technically she must not be the owner of that land. Okay, so that was the concept behind it. Got it? So this raised question over patriarchal society. Okay, so this raised a question that some believes that there must not be some concepts like the woman would not be able to hold any land, because if we see the Prabhavati Gupta may hold a land, that means that women were allowed to hold the land. The second concept is that, the second theory basically is that only royal house women were allowed to hold the land. Okay, so that was the second concept, that maybe there was a patriarchal society and we agree that Prabhavati Gupta was donating the lands, so there must be a reason that she belonged to the royal household, or because the king had the rights to make and destroy the rules, so maybe he permitted his daughter to donate the lands and became an owner. Okay, that was the second theory. Okay, so here we have finished the donative inscriptions. Now let's move forward. Thereafter we having the religious inscriptions. Okay, a significant portion of Gupta inscriptions is related with religious activities. They mention the construction and renovation of temples, endowments to religious institutions, and the promotion of Hinduism and Buddhism. Okay, so basically the main inscription was about the Skandagupta. Okay, Skandagupta. So if we are talking about the Skandagupta, I think that we must do a little bit revision in it. Okay, so then I will tell you about Skandagupta and his religious inscription. So first start with the Shri Gupta, thereafter Ghatotkach. Okay, Ghatotkach, just match the spelling. Okay, thereafter the Chandragupta, thereafter Samudragupta, the Samudragupta, thereafter Ramgupta, thereafter Vikramaditya II, who is also known as Chandragupta II. Okay, Chandragupta II. Okay, Vikramaditya after Kumargupta, and the last ruler was Sakandagupta. Okay, so that is the royal lineage of Gupta Empire. Okay, so basically Skandagupta made a donation to the Vishnu temple, okay, and then he also built inscription. Okay, regarding the donation without mentioning of terms and conditions. Got it? So basically, the Skandagupta, who was the last great ruler of the Gupta dynasty, he made a donation to the Vishnu temple, okay, for the religious purpose, and then he embarked it, and then he built the inscription regarding the donation that yes, I had granted a loan to this and them, but what he didn't do, he do not mention the details and terms of conditions regarding the donation. Okay, and this inscription is also known as Bhittari stone pillar inscription. Okay, then this inscription is also known as Skandagupta inscription as well as Bhittari stone pillar inscription. So remember, the Bhittari stone pillar inscriptions belong to the Skandagupta, in which it is mentioned that he granted a land for the Vishnu temple, and he also mentioned about it, but he did not disclose the terms and conditions regarding the donations. Okay, now let's move forward. Thereafter, we have the historical records, that some inscriptions serve as a historical records providing information about the reigns of Gupta ruler, their achievements and important events during their time. Okay, and the most famous one was Kuntala, inscription. So Kuntala inscription was the most famous one inscription of the Gupta period, which is located at Kuntala, Karnataka. Got it? So basically the Kuntala inscription, which found in Kuntala, Karnataka, was the most famous inscription for historical records of Gupta period. So Kuntala inscription mentioned about Chandragupta rule in the region of Kuntala. Okay. So Kuntala inscription mentioned that Chandragupta who ruled in the region of Kuntala. Okay, now let's move forward. Now we have the administrative inscriptions. Okay, so Gupta inscriptions also contain information about administrative matters, including land revenue, taxation, and the appointment of officials. Okay, so if we are talking about the administration of the Gupta Empire, let me tell you something. First thing is that their administration was decentralized. Their administration was decentralized. Okay. Second thing, they had the tribal feudatories were allowed to maintain their rules, but had to tribute the ruler time to time. Okay, so basically you can say the Gupta Empire was decentralized, means the powers were not concentrated but divided. Okay, second thing, they had the tribal feudatories. Okay, the tribes which were living inside the Gupta Empire territory, they were allowed to maintain their own rule on their own land. Okay, but they had to pay tribute to the ruler, means they had to give tax, grants, and gifts to the king to show their royalty, to show their loyalty, not royalty, loyalty towards the king. Okay, second thing is their land revenue. Second thing which we should cover is their land revenue. Okay, so first of all, we should cover the division of land. Basically, the Gupta Empire had a practice of division of land. Whatever land they have, they just divide it into some categories. Okay, so these categories are, first is Kila Bhumi. Okay, second is Kshetra Bhumi. Okay, the third is Chargaha Bhumi. Okay, then the fourth is Aprahata Bhumi. Okay, and the fifth is Vastu Bhumi. Okay, so that was the land division under the Gupta Empire. The Kila Bhumi was basically the wasteland. Okay, the Kshetra Bhumi was basically the cultivable land. Okay, the Chargaha Bhumi was basically the pastoral land. The Aprahata Bhumi was basically the forest. And the Vastu Bhumi was basically the habitable land. Okay, so students, just write down the classification. First is Kila Bhumi. Kila Bhumi is oftenly the wasteland. Kshetra Bhumi, which is the cultivable land or agricultural land, you can say. The Chargaha Bhumi, which was used for pastoral and you can say the grazing for animals. Then the Aprahata Bhumi, which is used for forest. Then Vastu Bhumi, which was the habitable land or you can say the residential area. Okay, so that was the classification of land under the Gupta Empire. Thereafter, the Pastupala, write down. Thereafter, we have the Pastupala, who was officer in charge who was officer in charge to maintain land records. Okay, so Pastupal was the officer who was officer in charge to maintain the land records. Okay, means this record and revenue details and was liable to present it to the ruler. Okay, second thing was that there was a tax known as bhog or bhoga. Okay, so it was the tribute to the king. Okay, so there was a tax, or you can say a tribute, which was supposed to be paid to the king time to time to show the loyalty towards the royal household. Okay, now let's move forward. Types of Gupta inscription. First is a Prasthi inscription, which is also known as Allahabad pillar inscription. Pillar inscription, which mentioned about Samudragupta. Okay, and was built by Banabhat. Okay, so Banabhat was the architect for Prasthi inscription, also known as Allahabad pillar inscription, which talk about the Samudragupta and also praising his achievements and virtues. Got it? Now let's move forward. The cave inscriptions. Yes, the Gupta Empire funded various cave inscriptions to provide the patronage to the cave temples which were built by the Gupta rulers. Okay, so students, in this lecture we had finished about the Gupta inscriptions. In the next lecture we will start with the early ancient Indian coins. Till then, just revise the facts so that you will be able to understand the facts clearly in the next lecture. Till then, thank you.